Hello, I'm Safiya U, and I'd like to offer a few remarks regarding the role we play together in holding the tech industry and its leaders accountable for the roles they play in either fomenting or destroying democracy and civil and human rights around the world, including here in the United States. You know, technology is more than just hardware and software. It's a set of values and politics. And more than ever, tech is an expression of raw, hard power. We live in a time where 9 of the 10 richest billionaires in the world are tech company leaders, and the tech industry is unequivocally a front for state-sponsored war and efforts to digitally and physically control us. From surveillance to the intrusion of AI failures like chatbots that are ruining the spiritual and mental well-being of our children and ourselves, we have a lot of work ahead of us to retain and rebuild democracy. But we should be heartened. There are thousands of people around the world standing up to anti-democratic authoritarian regimes that have been propped up and enabled by today's digital media industries. Millions of people are standing up, working in solidarity with the billions of people around the world who are impacted, people who may never touch a computer or use the internet, but will live under increasing global inequality and despair. Yes, many are using technology and media to speak truth to power, but there are so many more who are paying a high price for the tech industry's extractive, negligent, violent, monopolistic practices. Practices that are destroying the environment, that are devastating and eroding worker power. From content moderators to data cleaners, warehouse workers and gig workers, from mineral miners to hardware assemblers, and from e-waste workers to water and land protectors who are trying to keep dangerous tech companies and projects at bay, we have a lot of work to do. Let me give you some insight. Tech companies are now spending billions of dollars to capture our schools and universities with everything from anti-democratic threats and compacts that constrain our core mission of teaching and research to pushing their failed chatbots on students and faculty. These chatbots aren't good enough for big business, so they're being foisted upon schools and universities, healthcare systems, and other important public goods. Failed products in search of buyers. They are just schemes to make massive transfers of wealth from the public sector to the private companies and to radically replace our labor and strip us of the dignity of work and creativity. In fact, the leading tech companies are so desperate for data to train their models that they're using students, teachers, and workers to surveil so that they can gobble up all kinds of data while undermining our critical thinking, our cognitive capacities, our intellectual property, and our psychological stability. Every day, we see headlines of people taking their own lives under the influence of sycophantic and malicious AI systems. Enough is enough. Meanwhile, AI is implicated in medical discrimination and increasing disparity in our healthcare systems. AI is used to gamify real estate markets and expand efforts to price us out of affordable housing in our neighborhoods. And of course, their craven appetites are escalating the pollution of our communities with data centers that drain our clean water and drive up energy prices. It is in working class communities all over the country, indeed the world, where the crisis is most acute. Elites are gerrymandering and engaging in voter disenfranchisement to accelerate far-right political entrenchment. They're using rogue Gestapo militarized police forces to sweep up and disappear our neighbors. We see the consequences of right-wing politics all around us, and the times feel dark. But we owe a debt of gratitude to those upon whose shoulders we stand, and I am especially grateful to the Black women in the United States who have been at the forefront of every movement to expand democratic rights and recognize the humanity of all people. Where they have been denied human rights, civil rights, voting rights, reproductive rights, and more, they have remained steadfast in organizing and mobilizing for a democratic society. We're stronger today because of the thinkers, the speakers, the organizers and activists, the researchers and scholars, the journalists and the whistleblowers, all of whom have documented these injustices in service of a more beautiful, free, liberated, and empowered vision of the future. We are here but for the wisdom and sacrifices of the mothers and aunties, the fathers, the children, the land, the creatures of the earth, and the ancestors. Many who have led the way toward digital civil rights and democracy are those who have experienced the worst harms: people of color, women, non-binary and LGBTQ people who have been invested in building strong communities that demonstrate acceptance, grace, love, laughter, flair, style, and a sense of shared community power. The work is in the words we speak and the actions we take. We, the 99%, are the answer to our shared problems. Our private worries must be voiced because they reveal our shared, overlapping, and common concerns. We who work on democracy and media justice must remain committed to making progress, making mistakes, making amends, and making new possibilities even when it feels hard. Together, we can be lifelines, nodes, and networks of power. All we need to do is drop anchor and make a difference where we are right now. Together, we can tackle and solve very big problems. We're struggling with the collapse of democracies around the world. We need educators, organizers, and people of faith to make democracy real in our lives. Democracy is not just a word that belongs to electoral politics and politicians. It's an approach to creating societies that make space for everyone to live and thrive in communities and configurations large and small, that are diverse, that are empowered, that are healthy, and that are just. We live in worlds now hyper-connected by social media and the internet, but we are simultaneously disconnected from each other and our ability to problem solve major social, political, and economic crises. What we need now is the wisdom of the elders, the organizers, the scientists, the makers, the artists, and the dreamers who can help us reimagine and realize the worlds we want. What we can dream, we can actualize. We can dismantle policies of hate and make systems of love, care, and inclusion. We all come from long histories of people with the courage to embody values of respect and justice, but we must also be in action. It's time to remake relationships and systems, and it's time to try them out with friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, union members, associations, and really any configuration of people imaginable. We need to keep building power. I think we yearn to have workplaces, organizations, and institutions that are aligned with our values and that demonstrate respect and awareness. We're beckoned to build alternatives to the anti-democratic, fascist desires of billionaires who are profoundly unimaginative and who revel in the disposability of others. We can turn away from these companies and their products in favor of pro-social, rights-respecting, environmentally sustainable alternatives. And of course, we must put critiques of power, oppression, and anti-democratic policy in direct relation to how we can take action toward a more socially just, multiracial, democratic, and sustainable way of living. And in the coming days, weeks, and months, we will be put to the test. We will have to build networks of mutual aid. We must vote. We must work on every single front available to us. No matter your politics, there is no way we can ignore that around the world, millions of people are responding to so many different crises, and many manufactured purely for profit. Our rights are much more fragile and easier to take down than we imagined. We need to contend with and hold accountable the abuses of power that are unfolding. While people may have previously relied upon others, policymakers, organizers, and activists, and those in power to create some semblance of stability, the truth is that change must be enacted and sustained by both grand political gestures and also millions of small, localized decisions. We are the change we need. We need not abdicate our power nor our dreams when the world so desperately needs to be flooded with new dreams that benefit the many, not just the few. We live in an unprecedented time of information bombardment and digital systems used in service of the worst human impulses. Instead of trillions of dollars wasted on artificial intelligence and surveillance, maybe what we really want is authentic intelligence that deepens our spiritual, emotional, and economic integrity. Data is and technology are radically altering our humanity. The student knows themselves as a learner, until they receive a score that defines their perceived worth and academic achievement. The worker knows themselves as reliable until the surveillance system produces reports on their productivity and employers deny promotions. The child knows themselves as a friend, as beautiful, as limitless, until social media defines them as unpopular or unlikable. We come to know ourselves in myriad ways by tech feedback loops telling us about who we are, but these are not our truths. These technologies, while useful in some limited contexts, will never tell the whole story of who we are, and more importantly, who we can still become. We give up so much to be tethered to these systems that constrain rather than empower our humanity. If the richness and complexity of our lives cannot be understood easily under the best of circumstances, the current transactional data brokering, predictive profiling, and big business of data extraction at all cost will certainly continue to fail us. So we must ask ourselves, for whom does all this data serve? What aspects of ourselves live in the gaps, in between the measures, tucked away from the view of categorization, classification, and analysis of any given tech product? What can we keep private or sacred? What part of ourselves will we never give up or reveal for another's analysis and interpretation? What can we consciously refuse, remake, or redeem that is veiled from the corporation, the nation state, or the surveillance state gaze? And how do we elect people and implement policy to protect these desires? The list of problems is long, but we need not be paralyzed and overwhelmed. In the face of it, we are our own leaders, heroes, and the world is full of inspiring people from whom we can learn, follow, emulate, and be emboldened to act. We have so much wisdom to inherit and share with one another, and I look forward to working alongside you and building together. Thank you.